Hey, what is up? So for this video, I actually wanted to take a look at the storyline surrounding Gus Fring as we head into season 6 of Better Call Saul. And specifically, I wanted to take a look at the question of where does Gus Fring and the Cartel get their current supply of meth from? Because through 5 entire seasons of Better Call Saul that have been presented to us so far, we still, as of the upcoming premiere of Season 6 of Better Call Saul, actually know very little surrounding the supply of the cartel's product. And interestingly, one of the very few pieces of dialogue that we have regarding the supplier came from Season 4 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Something Beautiful. During this episode, as part of Gus Fring's elaborate plan to undermine the cartel, where Gus uses Nacho Varga to make it look as though the cartel's supply line had been compromised,
yesterday on the way back from their pickup.
Do we know who?
Not yet. Varga survived barely, but he couldn't see faces.
Someone knows our business.
Possibly.
It resembled the attack on Hector Struck a few months ago, and they knew the Salamanca men were heavy.
Juan Bolsa, following this, unaware that this hit was set up by Gus, orders quote-unquote dummy loads instead of their product to be shipped across the border in order for the cartel to do reconnaissance on who is attempting to hit their trucks.
We are about to run out of shipment. If you think we're compromised,
Run dummy loads. We'll see what we see. No product crosses until we're certain.
I'll take care of it.
But due to the fact that this will result in no actual product being sent across the border to supply the cartel's dealers, this means that unless a new supplier is found, the cartel's dealers will run dry. So as a result of this, Juan Bolsa orders Gus to find another local supplier.
Find a local supplier on your side of the border. Cut a deal.
Don Juan, with all due respect, Don Eladio forbids buying from outsiders. It's been very clear.
Let me worry about Eladio. Do it now.
Now, while in the end, Gus Fring's plan seemed to work perfectly, and Juan Bolsa did not suspect Gus of undermining the cartel at this time, the most interesting piece of dialogue in this scene, in my opinion, by Gus Fring, appears to be that Don Eladio forbids the cartel from buying from quote-unquote outsiders, meaning that currently it appears that there's a very specific means by which the cartel gets its product. And so, like I said, besides this dialogue from the plot of Better Call Saul, we actually have little to no other information other than this surrounding the cartel suppliers, even including the dialogue that we heard from the plot of Breaking Bad surrounding Gus Fring and the cartel. However, while this information regarding the cartel supplier at this point in time appears to be a dead end, one aspect of this plot that I actually find the most fascinating heading into next season is who exactly was this local dealer that Gus Fring worked with as part of the storyline. Because interestingly, following Gus Fring's conversation with Juan Bolsa, we then see Gus speak to Gail Bedecker, who Gus used to test the purity of various different suppliers' quality of meth.
Oh, I tested your samples. They range from 39% to 58% pure, except this one, which hovers around 67. Top of the class, so to speak.
So in this scene, we see that the highest purity of meth that Gail tested for Gus was 67% pure. And actually, in my opinion, it appears that this percentage was not just a random number picked by the creators of Better Call Saul. Because if we remember back from the plot of Breaking Bad, the distributor who Walter White partnered with in the episode entitled Say My Name, named Declan, had meth that was right around this level of purity.
You realize we have our own operation, right?
I know all about your operation. See, my partners here tell me that you produce a meth that's 70% pure, if you're lucky.
Additionally, another piece of dialogue from the plot of Breaking Bad in the episode entitled Blood Money by Lydia Radar Quayle also seems to confirm this plot detail as well, where following the then retirement of Walter White and Lydia now using Declan's operation to manufacture methamphetamine, we hear Lydia state to Walt in the scene the quality of Declan's meth being right around this 67% number that Gail Bedecker mentioned in the plot of Better Call Saul.
68%. Good morning. May I have your ticket, please?
I knew there would be a drop in quality, a 68%. This is not what I agreed to.
Now, on top of these two pieces of dialogue from the plot of Breaking Bad that appear to be a direct reference to the quality of the meth that Gale mentioned in this scene, another piece of Gale's dialogue in this episode appears to be yet another Easter egg reference to the fact that this meth came from Declan. We know this when we hear Gale discuss the fact to Gus Fring that contaminants are getting into the meth that he tested that is causing the purity to decrease.
You should tell the chemist to check his or her cookware. It's introducing contamination, which would be easy to avoid.
Oh, thank you very much, Gail. That's very useful information.
This piece of dialogue then appears to be a direct callback to Season 5 of Breaking Bad in the episode entitled Buried, where we see Lydia Redart Quayle discuss the filthy state of Declan's meth lab.
Okay, now you've seen it.
Yeah, now I've seen it.
What?
Well, how about we start with it's filthy.
What are you, my mother? What filthy? It's dimly lit.
So now, with all of this information being presented, I definitely think that this level of purity of 67% that Gale Boetticher mentions in this scene, along with his reference to the level of contaminants in the meth as a result of dirty glassware, was definitely no coincidence by the creators, and in my opinion, appears to have been directly added into the scene as an Easter egg reference to Declan from the plot of Breaking Bad. Now, whether or not Declan will appear in any capacity in the plot of the 6th and final season of Better Call Saul as a result of this dialogue remains to be seen, especially due to the fact that there's already so much story that needs to be developed and concluded as we head into Better Call Saul in its 6th and final season. But nonetheless, I definitely think that it's extremely possible for us to see some plot involving Gus Fring and Declan in the plot of Better Call Saul next season. Because on top of all of this that has already been mentioned, it was also revealed to us by Mike Ehrmantraut in the plot of Breaking Bad in the episode entitled Buyout that Mike knew Declan from his time working with Gus Fring.
I've got a connection, a guy I knew from my time with Fring. This guy has the capital, and he's motivated, highly.
You'll be selling to my competitors.
This guy and his crew are way out in Phoenix. It's a big country, Walter.
So it definitely appears that by the canon of Breaking Bad, Gus Fring and Declan have definitely done business together off screen, and that Mike Ehrmantraut was also involved with this business somehow as well. So in my humble opinion, it really appears that a plot involving Gus Fring, Mike Ehrmantraut, and Declan could seamlessly be introduced to us by the creators of Better Call Saul in the plot of the show next season, based on all of this backstory that has already been presented to us from the plot of Breaking Bad and the plot of Better Call Saul. And while at the end of the day, it may have only been that these two pieces of Gale Boetticher's dialogue from the plot of Better Call Saul were just two very subtle Easter eggs from the plot of Breaking Bad that were placed in the scene by the creators. But part of me still really thinks that the final payoff of Gale Boetticher's subtle piece of dialogue in this scene will be the addition of yet another on-screen Breaking Bad character cameo in the form of Declan being presented to us in the plot of Better Call Saul at some point in time in the next 13 episodes before the conclusion of the series. Alright, that's all I really got for you guys on this one. I've really enjoyed making these videos as we all wait for the premiere of Season 6 of Better Call Saul in less than 2 months from now, and I really appreciate all the people who are watching them. As always, my name is Anton Jackson. Thank you again so much for watching this video.